Oh, that better be you, Christian. Because I could fall madly in love with a man with hands like that.
You look so sexy in that suit.
Yeah, well, it's too bad you're not on the jury.
You're going to win this case. And you know why?
Why?
Because you are brilliant at what you do.
I have to win. John spent most of his life trying to put his father's killer behind bars. I have to finish what he started before he died.
Court is now in session. All rise. Please be seated. Blair Kramer, you may retake the stand.
Thank you.
I remind you, Miss Kramer, you are still under oath.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for coming back today, Miss Kramer. I hope you're feeling better. When you were here testifying yesterday, before you fainted, you were telling us about having met the defendant at the hospital. Can you just refresh our memories and tell us again why you were there?
Yes. I was at the hospital because my son had a medical issue. And I was very frightened at the time, but it turned out to be nothing. And my son was being cared for by Dr. Truman.
And after this professional meeting, the defendant began to pursue you romantically, is that correct?
Yes.
And this romance
Ended. Done.
Why?
Because I realized he was a murderer.
Objection, Your Honor, please. Your Honor, please. This is conjecture on Miss Kramer's part.
Sustained. The jury will disregard the witness's last statement. Please continue, Miss Williamson.
Of course, Your Honor. Miss Kramer, did the defendant ever say anything to you that led you to believe he had something to do with Thomas McBain's death?
Yes, he did.
Please explain.
When Spencer's brother David was arrested for the murder, Spencer admitted to me that he always took advantage of his little brother all of his life.
I see. And Miss Kramer, how did you become involved in the police investigation of the defendant?
During the course of my relationship with Dr. Truman, I found a photo of Spencer and his father, in which Spencer was holding the gun that was used to shoot Thomas McBain.
The witness is referring to the photograph already entered into evidence, Exhibit K. You remember this photograph, right, ladies and gentlemen?
And when I found the photo, I handed it right over to the police.
Did this photograph of the defendant with the murder weapon help lead the police to the murder weapon?
Yes, it did.
Thank you very much, Miss Kramer. No further questions at this time.
Go easy on her. She still may not be well.
My job is to save your life. Let me do what I need to do. Good morning, Miss Kramer. Glad to see you're feeling better today. Miss Kramer, can you please tell the jury, how many times did you and Dr. Truman make love?
Objection! This is ridiculous, Your Honor, and how in the world is it relevant?
Your Honor, I'm simply trying to establish for the jury the relationship between Ms. Kramer and the defendant, which I believe is relevant to the witness's testimony.
How does knowing how many times people have had sex help to establish their relationship? Surely the jury understands that even in a failed relationship, and most specifically in abusive relationships, the sexual activity is often high.
Objection overruled. You may continue, Mr. Casey.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll repeat the question, Ms. Kramer. How many times did you and Dr. Truman make love?
I didn't keep count, Mr. Casey.
Well, approximately then. Would you say it's 100 times, 200 times? I mean, after all, you're an attractive young couple. You've been together for a couple of months. Is it safe to assume that you made love 2 times a week? 3 times a week? Answer the question,
Yes.
Ms. Kramer. Yes, what?
2, 3, I don't know.
So it's safe to assume that you made love many times?
Yes.
Ms. Kramer, at any point in your relationship, were you in love with Dr. Truman? I'll repeat the question. Were you in love with Dr. Truman?
No, it was not.
And yet you were engaged to be married to him, weren't you?
I never intended to marry Dr. Truman. I accepted his proposal because I needed to search for evidence against him.
But you did tell him that you loved him, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
So you're a liar.
Objection. The witness is not on trial here.
I'm simply trying to establish the credibility of the witness.
Overruled. Proceed, Mr.
I'm not a liar. Spencer took advantage of my vulnerability when the man that I really loved was taken away from me because Spencer set Todd up.
Your vulnerability notwithstanding, Miss Kramer, did you or did you not have feelings for Spencer Truman?
Yes, I had
Objection. The
feelings
witness
for
has
him.
already answered that question.
Because Spencer took every opportunity to make me hate Todd. So yeah, I thought that I loved him. But I was confused and hurt. And Spencer, he was messing with my head. And I should have listened to my heart. Because I still love Todd. I will always love Todd. I love you, Todd.
Objection. May I approach?
That won't be necessary, Miss Williamson. Miss Kramer, you will answer only the questions that are posed to you. Do you understand?
I was asked to tell the whole truth, and everything I said just now is true.
The same way everything you said on the stand was true when you accused another former fiancé, Todd Manning, of rape?
Objection. Objection. Your Honor. And therefore bringing them up is misleading.
Objection sustained. I will allow the comment to be recorded. However, I will warn you, Mr. Casey, to restrict your questions and your comments to the details of this case.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Redirect, Miss Williamson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Kramer, one further question. Did you at any time have reason to believe that the defendant was capable of murder?
Yes.
And when was that?
When he tried to kill me.
That's a lie, but you know what?
Quiet, Mr. Casey.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I would now like to present into evidence Exhibit R. This is an article that appeared in the Sun. Ms. Kramer, can you tell us when this article appeared?
Yes, I can. It was the morning after the night Spencer Truman tried to strangle me.
Thank you, Ms. Kramer. You may sit down. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution rests